What's up everyone, Zach Edward here. Today I'm going to teach you how to steal. More like sample sounds from other songs, specifically kick drums. I want to show you a really cool technique to isolate a kick even from a track that might be busy with a lot of things going on. Alright, so the first things first, when we're going to take a kick or a sample from a track, you always want to be working with the highest quality audio file you can use. Something like a wave is okay, AIFF is okay, you'll see some songs you can get in FLAC. Any of that stuff works, but you definitely don't want to use MP3 in this instance. So for this example, I'm going to be using this song here. So one of the places you could always look right off the bat to find an isolated kick drum that you can cut out is intro and outro, right? A lot of songs have just basic drum work where you could find a clean kick in the intro or outro. The only thing that happens is a lot of times they remove some of the low end. In this instance, that's not the problem. You could see that the kick is right here on this peak. This is the sub bass, so I am gonna have to kind of figure out a way I can work around that sub bass, but I am getting a full kick drum in this instance. Now, here's the trick. You could hear there's a lot of other sounds going on. So if we want to take a kick out of this loop, we're going to have to do a little bit of surgery, I guess. We're going to go in and we're really going to find how we can kind of cut parts of this kick to isolate it and extract only the kick, nothing else. So I found this one little section right here. So this first kick is actually very clean in the beginning, but there is a bass note on this as well. You can see that the higher peak, that's actually the sub bass playing with it. The second kick in bar 3 is actually an isolated kick, but we also have the clap on top of it, which isn't great. Right? So it's going to be hard to get the click out. So what I'm going to actually do here is I'm going to take bits and pieces from each to get the kick out. Now here's the trick of what I've done. I've created 4 channels underneath, a low, low mid, and high. What I've done on each of these channels is put an instance of Isotope's Imager, and all I'm doing is soloing the corresponding bands. So you could see on the low band, the lowest one is soloed. On the low mid band, the low mid band is soloed. On the high mid band, you'll have this yellow one soloed, and on the high one, you'll have the red one soloed. So each of these channels are only playing those frequency bands. Now what I'm gonna do first is let's drag this kick down to all 4 of these instances, and we'll turn off the main one. So if I solo this low band, you'll hear, you could hear the sub bass on this first one. It goes boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. This little sub bass hit here, we don't want. We really just want this kick that doesn't have the sub bass attached to it. So let's take this kick, we'll drag it over, and now you can hear that's a pretty clean sub source. We don't need all this length. The kick isn't that long in this instance. You can see the kick probably ends around here. Now the reason why we use this low band is because we don't hear this offbeat hi-hat. It completely ducks around that offbeat hi-hat because the frequencies of the hi-hat aren't stretching that low. So all we're really getting is the kick, and we're ignoring the hat here. And that's a pretty decent isolation of the low part of the kick. Now, for the higher bands, the second kick was cleaner on the low end, but it had this clap, if you remember. I don't want that. I want the clean top kick, which this one does have, but there's a hat that comes later. So what I'm gonna do on this band is shorten it so I don't get that click. And now I have the middle portion of the kick, the low mid. If we go to the high mid portion, let's get rid of that tail on this one. Same thing, don't need the hat. There's a little bit of a hi-hat I'm hearing too on the downbeat that if I leave longer, all right, now this highest band is just the real extreme top click. This could be the shortest of them all. Yeah, you could really hear the hat here. That x, x, x. And now all of a sudden, what I've done is I've taken each of the 4 bands of this kick, put them together, and now I've isolated the kick drum. See if we can maybe even just tighten this top one up. Much better. The hiss is gone now. And now all I'll do with these is let's set up one more audio track. We will resample. I'll hit record on this, record on this. And there you go. Now I have my full kick. These can all be taken off. And I have my kick drum to work with, completely sampled from this track. So pretty cool little trick, right? Give it a shot. If you don't have this isotope plugin, there are other like multi-band compressors you can use, and just turn the compressor off. I don't recommend you use EQ to do this, like an actual EQ, because you're not going to get the proper overlap, and the phase correlation is going to get fucked up. It's not going to sound like the same kick. Ozone does a fantastic job with dealing with phase so that you're not getting these hollow frequencies and cancellation at certain frequencies. So if you have the Ozone stuff, I would recommend just using the Imager. If you don't have it, use any kind of multi-band compressor. They typically will do the same job, just don't compress. Use it for the bands and just solo each band. So give that a shot. You know, we are stealing, so be careful what you're taking out, but most of the time these types of things go unnoticed, and you could find some real quality kicks and samples in doing so. Give it a shot. Be sure to like and subscribe if you thought this video was cool, and I'll catch you in the next one.